Good morning. We're having this meeting to educate everybody on the procedures of the construction business and the procedures we're going to use in the new model. I did this outline. We're going to try to follow it. This will take about 2 days, 3 days maybe to do, 2 hours a day. But anyway, let's get started. First of all, you need to know the company and how it originated, etc. I started building in 1971, and I was a salesperson, hard to believe, prior to that, but my wife's sister's husband worked for one of the largest builders in Columbus, Ohio. And his boss had like 6 companies, and his boss hired me to run a window company for him. So I went to work for him. About a year later, my brother-in-law, I talked to him and said, well, why don't we go in the building business? This guy we're working for is any smarter than we are. So he said, okay. I said, well, I can raise the money, but I don't have the knowledge. So he had the knowledge. So he said, okay, we'll do it. Let's wait. I said, let's wait about 60 days and make sure we get everything together, et cetera, et cetera. He said, okay. Well, back then we used to have CB radios in the car. They weren't CBs, but they were commercial band radios. And so the next day, he calls me on the radio and said, hey, we need to meet for coffee. I said, okay. So we met, and he said, well, I just wanted to let you know I went in and quit my job this morning. I said, nice. So, of course, I had to go quit mine, but we had agreed to wait a couple of months to do it. So anyway, we started in the building business and built one spec house, and I stood by his side every step of the way just to try to learn the construction business. And he was a very intelligent construction person, and he taught me a lot, but it took me a while to get used to working that hard because I'd never worked that hard. I had a bad back, beat my hand with my thumb with the hammer. I did all kinds of wonderful things. But anyway, that's how I started. So we started out of my house. We worked out of my basement, and we built the first house and sold it. Then we built 2 houses and sold them and got a couple contracts to build some houses, and that's how it just started. We just kept doubling up and rolling over. And anyway, eventually in a couple of years we separated, and he went his way and I went mine. But we are from Lancaster, Ohio. I don't know if you know where that is. It's a suburb of Columbus. And that's where Pat and I went to school. And we actually were in the 2nd grade together. And then she went on to a different middle school than I did, and then we were back together in high school. So, and then we kind of got together, and you know the rest of the story. It's been 50 years. So, anyway, that's kind of how we started. We had Nikki get involved in the business when she was 16 or 17, and the same thing with Tony. We used to send Tony we used to build in Sebastian, and we'd send Tony to Sebastian, and he called me on the phone and he said, he's 16 years old now. He called me on the phone and said, Dad, these guys aren't paying any attention to me. And I said, well, Tony, when you learn something, they'll probably pay attention to you. Because he thought, well, he was the boss's son, so they ought to just all. But what he was doing was cleaning up lots and learning from the very beginning. And then I taught him how to trim houses and how to start doing carpenter work. And so he's done all that stuff as well. So he is educated.
Back up. Trim houses. Define that.
Putting the interior doors in the trim, like the chair rail and the baseboards. Okay. That's what they refer to, trimming of the house. So now we have a business that there are 4 owners in. Nikki and Tony and Pat and I are all the stockholders. We have a daughter that's a lawyer that doesn't want to work in this business, which I don't blame her, because we just went through a recession. She made all the money and we just kind of muddled along. But anyway, that's the story. We're from Ohio. We moved here in 1981. We came to Florida in a green paneled station wagon like Clark Griswold with 3 kids and a dog. We didn't have the grandma attached to the roof, but other than that, we were on our way to Florida. Didn't have a job. Came down and got my license, and we just went to work. One thing you might hear, if older people come through the model, older, I mean 50 or more maybe, I have a very famous uncle who was a pro football player. He was a place kicker, and he played for Cleveland Browns. He started playing the year I was born, which was 1945, and he played for 22 years, and he's in the Hall of Fame. And he played for the Cleveland Browns, and the training center in Cleveland is called Lou Groza, or the Browns Training Center is on Lou Groza Boulevard in Cleveland, Ohio. So he's pretty famous. Especially people coming from the Northeast will know the name, and you'll be asked, "Oh, is he related?" And you can say, "Yes, I am. He's my uncle," and people won't believe it, but it's true. So I went to his Hall of Fame induction in 1974 in Canton, Ohio, which is really nice. Just a little quick story there. Gerald Ford was the vice president, and of course the Secret Service, this is a weekend event at the Hall of Fame. And the Secret Service is all over the place. But anyway, you wear name tags, and there's a huge crowd, so they serve buffet lunches and stuff. And the people attending would come walk and check the lines, and they saw our name on our tags, so they said, "Oh, come on, you go to the front of the line," which was kind of cool. But what I was going to tell you was Gerald Ford was the speaker. He was the vice president. And when he got introduced, and I think Paul Brown introduced him, who was the head coach at Cleveland back in the day, he introduced Gerald Ford jokingly as the next president of the United States, right? About 30 days later, Nixon resigned, and Gerald Ford was the president, which was I thought was kind of funny, but anyway.
Amazing.
So that's kind of our history. I don't know, does anybody have any questions? I mean, you will get, yeah.
What was your CB handle?
Oh, wow, I forget.
That's a good one.
Well, those weren't CBs per
But
se.
still, everybody usually had some kind of a handle, didn't they, back then?
Yeah, but ours were, the phones, the mics that we had were commercial band radio. So only the people in the,
Right.
yeah, I don't know. I don't even remember. I don't know, Pat might remember, but I don't. Although I did have in 1974, I had a brand new Lincoln Town Car and
So the building business was doing
mobile
well.
phone. The kind of mobile phone you said, mobile operator,
Please
then you
connect
let
me
go,
to.
and to listen, you push the thing. That was pretty cool.
I had one in an old Jag.
Yeah. Some of them had it in the boxes. But
Mhm.
Mine was mounted in the car. Had to have it mounted. But anyway, that's our history. We have 3 kids. We have 6 grandchildren, and our kids really grew up here. They, although we're from Ohio. Tony was 6 when we came here. Nikki was 40. Oh, man. But that's the story. So if you get asked that question, that's where we're from. The model we're gonna run is we expect to have it run smoothly. We want everybody to know what their jobs are and their procedures are, and we're kind of going to let's just go through the procedures if we can. There's going to be a chain of command, like one person is going to be ultimately responsible for that model staying open and being manned, and that's going to be Donna. And but then she'll have to report to Nikki and do whatever they need to do over there. But the procedure is going to be opening and closing. There's a list of things. Do we have a process sheet in here of that?
We'll have a checklist.
I don't think we have that done yet.
Okay, but we're having a little bit of a dilemma because we're going to have outdoor furniture.
If John is very excited about.
Oh,
Yeah, and I'm not sure how we're going to have it the second day we're there.
You screw that stuff down to the.
Well, I was telling Donna when we went, if it's light enough that I can bring it in and take it out when I get there and when I leave.
There's no place to put
Well,
it.
you could go to the gym in the mornings and get
I mean, I
use the
could.
butt. Yeah. No, I just think it's going to be too big. It's too big
It
for
is
one
crazy.
person to carry.
Okay.
So it's just, I'm not sure how we're going to deal with that, if we're going to have to put a fence around it or whatever, but there will be in and out, there'll be furniture there that we have to do something with, and without a doubt, the cushions that are on the furniture will have to come inside. but you know, that'll be your responsibility, and we'll have a list of what you guys have to do there, but you have to, you know, unlock the doors and open the windows, light, blinds, and put the cushions out, and turn the lights on, and turn the air conditioning up or down, or whatever the case might be. Just make it ready, maintain it. We're gonna have a cleaning service for it, but every day you're gonna have to walk around and make sure there's things picked up, because people leave things laying out. We don't want desks to be cluttered like mine. Just keep everything as neat as we can. The hours of operation are going to be Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sunday from 11 to 4. I've got 11 noon, but that's really 11 a.m.
It's because you were questioning which one it was going to be. That's why.
Yeah, right. There will be a colored theme floor schedule, so you'll know whichever color you happen to be. You'll know what days you're on and what days you're off. It'll be your responsibility if you're scheduled to be there on a day and you can't make it, you're sick or whatever. It'll be your responsibility to either get a hold of someone to change days with, or call Donna. Let her worry about it. Lucky you.
Call Donna.
We're gonna make the garage over there the design center. So people that buy houses from us will go there to do their the color chart and designs, and Angie will go meet them there. But you're welcome. You'll be able to walk people through there and say, this is the kind of stuff we use, and etc.
We'll have a class on that.
The phone calls, the procedure, I guess we'll make up a normal speech that you might do, like, you know, good morning or good afternoon, Rosa Builders, my name is Kelly, ABC, or Erica, FY, you know, whatever. We got all kinds of Kellys here now, so. And I think we're going to be able to direct calls from this office to the model.
Mm-hmm.
So if we get a call, because all our signs say 336-7653. So if we get a call in here, we can transfer it to the model. So that'll be easy, or you can transfer it back, or you can conference call with somebody here. It'll be just like that phone is here.
Mm-hmm.
Just on the pricing real quick, and we're going to get more into it, but when you look at our price sheets, every county has its own pricing, or every municipality. And I think we only publish 3 of them that are on our price sheet. So when you talk to somebody, you have to find out what county they're going to be in, or if they're going to be in Vero, or if they're going to be in Okeechobee, or if they want to be in North Palm Beach. There's different price sheets for Martin, St. Lucie, and the city of Port St. Lucie. Other than that, there is an upcharge to go to any of the other counties, and that's in PS Client, which we'll get to that shortly. Does anybody have any questions about the model? You know, we've spent a lot of money on that model. There's going to be a lot of things in that model that are not standard features, and you're going to do a model site training the second week of January, right?
No, I don't know. I forget on my calendar.
I think that's when it is. Well, actually, it might be the first week.
The first
I
week,
think
it's gonna be
it is
open
the
the
first
second
week.
week,
Well, then
maybe.
maybe. But the first week of January, you'll go there, and someone will walk you through the models, and you'll look at the features that are there, and you'll be told what's an upgrade, and how much it is. We're going to have a sheet that tells you exactly what every upgrade in that model is. And then when we sell to people in there, you'll have to go through that list with those people. Do you want this? No. Do you want that? Yes. And that's one of the things we're going to have to do, because we don't want people coming back and saying, well, that's in the model, so I expected to get it in my house. We want them to do that, and we want them to sign the form that we went through that process with them. So does anybody have any questions? We're going to have a security camera there. and we don't want females left there alone after it gets dark.
Sorry, Bill.
So,
You got all the dark shifts.
no, but, or at least they're, you know, by themselves. They could be
Right.
2 of them, but not just one. And you probably should come up with a policy that if Donna or Bill is meeting with somebody and having a heated discussion, you might want to be prepared to call 911.
There also has to be a code between all of us as well, and I would
Right.
suggest that it would be, could you get the red file for me? And red, just the color red, if it could be mentioned, that we all know that there's something going on. We don't know what it is, and we can't talk about it, but I could easily text, someone can text or call, can you get the red file for me? That means that somebody needs some kind of help.
That's fine, but then are they going to bring it to you? What are they going to bring to you?
No,
They're
my,
gonna know
my
to call
point
for
is
help
if
or
I'm
come in.
having an issue with someone, and I text her, get me the red file, she knows there's an issue. That's the point.
We
That's
used
the
to
point
do
I'm
that at
trying
the
to make.
doctor's office. If they were having an issue, they would page Dr. Strong, and everybody that was available had to go to wherever it was, and then they would call the police.
Because you're not going to be able to call 911 right there if you have
That's a
something
lot of
going
stuff
on.
to type, isn't it?
Well, red is red. You know, if anybody...
Just say red file.
Yeah, red file. That's what I'm saying. So
Okay.
everyone knows. So if I were to get Bill on the phone and Bill wasn't there and I said red file, he knows to get some kind of help and something's going on. We don't know what it is, but we've got the cameras as well that
Right.
will immediately tell us
Right.
something's going on.
Right.
But yeah, safety is paramount.
Right, exactly. Okay,
Will there be fire extinguishers there as well?
There has to be.
yeah, there should be.
Mhm. So everyone knows where they are.
Yeah, and it has to be handicap accessible, and which we are. We're gonna bring the pavers on the front up to the front door, you know, right where there will be a small lip there, and that's it. Okay, let's see. Okay, there's a form in here that is construction terms. Now, I think you have that in your big 3-ring binder, but I wanted to make
Some of
sure.
them do.
Yeah, right.
Is that in here?
I don't think so. Construction? I think it's just in the binder.
It should be.
No, it was in here. I thought I seen it. What to expect?
I need to go make copies of
Well, I thought it was right after what's lot prep. That's,
That's not-
no, that's
Let's do it.
Last year.
road registration.
Nope.
Okay. Did
Mm,
you
three
ask
times.
somebody to print it or something?
Nobody asked. Everybody's here.
Early start.
Aren't they like 20 pages long?
Is it?
All the construction terms? There's
Yeah.
like 20 pages in our binders, so I don't know if she's making it.
Yeah, let's don't have her.
I can go grab my binder just to show.
Okay,
I
let's do
have
that.
my binder right here.
Oh, she has hers,
Oh.
so but have Nikki not do that. If there's that many pages, everybody's gonna get a binder anyway, so.
We all have one.
What's that coffee? Nikki and her cup of coffee.
Wow, there are a lot of pages. Okay. So anyway, you will get this 3-ring binder because there's more training stuff in here that you'll be going through. But in here are the construction terms. Because when you're in the model, you're going to get a lot of questions like, what kind of roof sheathing do you put on your roofs, or
Does everybody in here have a binder?
Yes.
Okay. Erica, you have one too?
oh, okay, then you have it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you could go through this and learn the construction terms, because you're going to be asked, you know, there's people that come through there that are somewhat knowledgeable. Everybody did a little bit of carpenter work in their life, so they know all about construction. Or they're from up north, and they know all about construction.
True statement.
But anyway, I was just making decisions. But you know, there's some important things in the contract which we'll get to when we get there. But we're going to go through a procedure so that you can understand the blueprint. Not that you could build a house, but you will be able to answer some questions somebody has. And we're going to go through a wall section of the house so you know how the house is constructed. because people want to know, you know, what's the wind load it'll withstand, what kind of roof sheathing, the roof sheathing is way most common question you get.
What did I tell you guys yesterday?
It was great. It was fabulous.
Yeah.
Love Bill talk about exactly how he explained it to Gail and I. It was wonderful.
Do you want to do that? How did you explain it?
No, I showed him some of the roofs that were done with 1/2 inch OSB, and you could actually sit there and see the sway between the trusses. And I stopped and pointed out a couple of the houses, just to see, and then over time how it sinks more. In fact, that we use, 5/8.
And you don't need to know anything about construction to know when you see a sway in a roof. Everyone's seen a sway in a roof, so they can relate to it.
Right. And you know what the PSI per square inch pressure is on the concrete, how the slabs are basically, and this is just going to be basic information. It'll really make sense to you when you see the wall section. But we'll get to that when we'll get there. But some of the terms in here, the ones that I think are important are like, you guys will have some exposure to FAR bar contracts, which are the real estate Florida Bar Association contracts. And one of the clauses in there that's very important is there's a clause called due diligence. And that means that for any reason, if Kelly wants to buy a house and signs a contract, she has however many days you put down there, whether it be, and if it's left blank, it says 10 days or something, I forget what it says off the top of my head, but there's a blank that you can fill in how many days Kelly thinks it will take her to do her due diligence, which means research the property to make sure it meets your needs. Now, whether it's a new house, a lot, or whatever it is. If you're not satisfied for any reason because you saw an ant crawling across the countertop, you can back out of the contract and you don't have to explain yourself. So, and you get your deposit back. And that's a very important clause, and it's very important that if it says 10 days from acceptance, you have 10 days. You don't have 11. You have 10 days to back out. If you don't back out in 10 days, you're assumed to have agreed to the terms and accepted the property as is.
Is that business or calendar days?
It's calendar days. So that's a very important clause, and because everybody says, well, I want it to be contingent on this or that, and that you can do that as well. But the due diligence clause, a lot of people don't understand it, and people think, well, I can back out anytime I want. Well, no, you can't. You only have so many days to do it. Contingencies are very important because they have to expire as well. If you put in the contract, now you don't necessarily have to because you have 10 days to do whatever you want. But if you put something in there about financing and you get financing, you're committed to that contract after the due diligence period. If you don't get the financing, then you're not committed to the contract. If you put in a clause due to adequate financing or whatever, and most of the real estate contracts, they want you to put in what kind of loan it is, and if it's FHA or whatever, and some of the terms and the interest rate. Not always do you know all that stuff, but those are things that you get tied in, and then you're done. If you don't perform your part of the contract, you're in default. Title insurance is where a title company, insurance company, guarantees a free and clear title with the following exceptions, which are in Exhibit B. Is that right? Okay. There's a clause, there's a section in a title insurance policy that says we warranty this property except for the following items. And there could be liens on there, or there could be assessments, there could be what's the
Clouds.
utility? Well, clouds.
Easements.
An easement recorded, like FP&L will have easements down the sides of the properties, which are recorded, which we'll get to that later. But just those certain things that are on that title that the company will not warranty unless they're removed, and they don't necessarily have to be removed if They're like utility easements and stuff, because you can't get those removed. But if there's a lien on it, they have to remove that. Or if there's past due taxes, or if there's a judgment filed against that property, anything. They're gonna note it, and that's an exception to what they're guaranteeing. They're guaranteeing the rest of the title's clear, but that doesn't matter. If you can't get all the things in order and all those exceptions taken out of there that really need to be taken out, you shouldn't buy the property. So let's see what I got here. I just want you to get familiar with these terms, and there's some that are really important, like those ones we just discussed. In our contract, in our construction contract, which we'll go through, it's very specific as to time frames. Another clause in contracts is time of the essence. When that's in your contract and you have a time for that to happen, like if you say it's going to close January the 2nd and you write in there time is of the essence, if it doesn't close on January the 2nd, there's no deal. That's the absolute drop dead date. Okay. A lot of this stuff we'll go through and I'll try to explain to you. I just can't think of all these terms I want you to know off the top of my head, but I will as we go through these papers. You guys will get a copy of this book, and everybody will have it. Okay, there's a blue sheet that you have in your package that is whoever interviews we'll call them a client, a walk-in or a phone call first. These are the questions you should ask. Or I don't know how you really want to do it. I guess you need to tell us how you want to do it. Do you want Erica to ask some of these questions before she gives it to, especially the name and...
I want this on a clipboard, and when they come in, they will come in to where Erica's office is in the model to the right. There'll be 2 chairs. They will sit down, they will fill this out before they do anything else. So they'll sit down and they'll fill this out to completion, because what we find is when they fill out the blue sheet with us here as salespeople, they get down past their information and they don't keep going because the conversation starts.
Right.
They're anxious to start a conversation. So we won't even have the conversation with them because this will give us some information before we sit with them.
So you're going to let them sit at that table, and will she still be there?
She'll be, yes, she will be there, and she'll be waiting for them to fill this out. There'll be a clipboard handed to them with a pen so they can fill it out to its entirety.
Is there anything on this form you don't understand? Or have you seen this? This has kind of been revised since yesterday.
Yeah, just the bottom part, which, I mean, it's really just what they prefer. Other than that, I mean, I've gone over it. I have a copy of it so that I know what it looks like.
So when you sales agents get this at the model, you'll be able to take this sheet and have some idea what these people are looking for. And then when you get done, and what I would suggest is you turn the sheet over and make notes as you're talking to the people.
We all did that already, yeah.
And then when you get done with that, all this information goes into PS Client. Now we can set up PS Client to have these things like their wish list, if you will, as tags that you can say yes or no to in PS Client. So that will be on file. So when you go back in there and look at it again, you can say, well, I've got that marked that you weren't interested in that. Because people say, well, we talked about it. Well, yeah, but that's another thing. Talking about it doesn't make it so. But anyway.
What?
Yeah.
But they'll tell
So
me I
can
could
I
have
just
it.
add one thing? We kind of went through here, and I went around and asked everyone in the office, like what feature you would like in your new home if you were going to build a home. Because we were trying to think of stuff to put on here. So could anyone think of anything that would be different or
Green,
That's true.
energy efficiency.
And
Yeah, that's a really
They
good
said
one.
green, and I'm
I
like,
said green.
I don't know if I'd put that on there.
really?
Because they're going to say, what does that mean?
Well, the ones that come in that want it, no. They want the foam, they want the isonine, they want the,
Yeah, but people also walk in and they have no idea what it means, but they
Right.
think that it sounds good.
Yes.
So
but
But,
they-
and so to do that, we're going to have to know what all of the energy efficiency things are.
so people all the time ask me, what do you have that's green? What's energy efficient?
Now maybe we need a sheet about that.
The number one question all the time, what's the insulation in the roof?
So if you're going to do that, then you're going to have prices for each of those things.
Well, we really should anyway. Maybe
Most
we
of
don't
the
need to
icing
put it
in
on
there.
here, but they really need to know. Right?
Or there's, or isonine and all that should be added to PS Client,
Mm-hmm.
so we can look it up.
I think the number one is granite and tile. That'll-
Well, that's not energy efficiency.
No, I'm talking about the questions that they're gonna.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna want answered. Do you build with granite? Is it standard? Yeah, that's pretty standard.
Right. So if you do have anything that you'd like to have added, I mean, we need to think about what it is, but if it's something you think you're gonna need, we can either add it on this sheet or you can just have the information on your own, so.
Well, maybe the what part of your home is your priority? Maybe energy efficiency might be added into that.
I don't know, we'll think about that again, where to put it. Or if it's something we just wanna, people are gonna ask you, is it something you just wanna discuss at that point? Give them
It
an
might
idea of
open
what it
Pandora's
costs?
box. It might.
Yeah,
Well, if you're gonna ask somebody if they want something, you better be able to explain to them what they're gonna get.
Right. That's why I'm saying it might open Pandora's
Right.
box because it really goes down on.
And what is the advantage to me to have it energy efficient? What difference does that make in your house?
Well, again,
I don't have a
think
clue.
prompting a flyer or something like that, that
Right.
there would be something that we could really go through with them with a checklist.
Right, and we might be able to get that from FP&L or somebody. They might
Mm-hmm.
have a flyer that we could hand out and then say, well, these items would cost about this much in that house.
Absolutely.
But that's the way we'd have to do it if we're gonna put it on this, because if we put it on there, they're gonna start asking, because they're gonna say, oh, what does that mean? And how much will I save? How long will it take me to pay back the expense? Okay. So, again, if you come up with something on here that you really like,
Find out it'll be enough.
our brochures, when you look at our brochure, they are artist renderings only. They are not that the room is going to be 14 foot 2 inches. And we're going to,
Can I bother you for 1 second? You just look at this picture, tell me if you like it.
you know your video, right?
Wave, Jeff, you're on video.
that doesn't go that
This
way.
is being video.
I didn't know that.
Okay, you want to stop that? We'll just take it.